There's no way I'm in shot on this one. I'm quite sure I'm in shot on this one though, so let's test that out. Well, hello, and I hope you had a lovely weekend. Mine was hectic. I had 4 days, 4 meals out, and 3 of those 4 meals I was drinking, and probably drinking quite a lot. So I woke up this morning at 84.5 kilograms, so I'm roughly 2 kilograms up from previous weigh-ins, which is okay, but today's video, is going to be about those bulking mistakes. So those mistakes that we make when we're like, I'm gonna try and gain some muscle mass, I'm gonna try and get bigger, I'm gonna try and get stronger. And I'm gonna go over some of those mistakes because they're quite important. I was like, I've got to get that shot of me carrying everything, and I don't know why I decided to put it on top of my cup, but yeah, either way, it seemed to work out okay. You did just see me weigh out jam on rice cakes, and you're probably thinking, Gordon, you know, you're on this maintenance or this Gaintenance phase. Why the hell are you weighing out jam on rice cakes? First of all, it really isn't that much effort to just put a rice cake on some scales and then weigh out things like peanut butter and whatnot, or even jam, that are going to easily add a bunch of calories to your day. It's honestly not that hard. So first of all, that doesn't really matter. But second of all, in a Gaintenance phase, or when you're trying to stay lean and gain muscle mass, you want to try and maintain the amount of calories that you're consuming. This isn't just a case of you going nuts and eating as much as you feel like, because that's all going to be muscle mass. The rate of gain of muscle tissue is extremely slow, and especially at my age or my training age, it's not going to be that fast. I might gain half a kilo a month, maybe 250 grams of muscle mass a month. And even then, that's still quite a lot. That is the first bulking mistake. Just eating calories for the sake of eating calories because you think that that's gonna get you swole and massive and loads of muscle mass. It's simply not. I now have the task of doing some adult things, like I've got to go to post office, then I've got to pay my water bill that just came in. So yeah, lots of adulty things. And the gym, of course. Gotta go to the gym. So gotta get ready, and we'll head out and do the adult stuff. Because there's something at the post office which I don't actually know what I've got. Right, first adult task of the day done. I picked up this little post office thing. So essentially, the microphone that you're listening to, I use a thing called a dead cat. Sorry to any animal lovers out there, but a dead cat which sits and stops the wind thing. So that's my first adult task done of the day. If I film in this position, does it look fine? My next thing to do with 5 mistakes during a Gaintenance or bulking phase, and one of those is not having a focus. So not having a focus is essentially where you're going to the gym, you're just training, you're lifting weights, you're doing things with the intent of gaining muscle tissue. That's not really focused, that's not specific, it's not measurable, there's no time frame, there's nothing really to it. So my first suggestion is to get organized and start writing down everything that you're lifting, and then trying to beat that week on week to a certain extent. And that'll take you through what you call an accumulation block of training, where you're accumulating total volume, you're accumulating amount of weight on the bar, and you're training hard. You're not just kind of going and guessing how much you were lifting previously. My other suggestion is also to record sort of strength targets. So write down what you're trying to potentially achieve. You know, maybe it's trying to do 15 chin-ups in a row. Maybe it's a case of deadlifting double your body weight. Maybe it's benching an all-time PR. But just try and be a little bit more focused with what you're doing, and that should help the overall long-term success of gaining muscle tissue. I'm going to go to the gym and do a lower body session. And those pendulum squats, MuscleWorks Orpington, they're tough, but I'm gonna get them done. Now, I thought I would do something a little bit different in terms of this sort of
overview on workouts. Normally I do a little B-roll slow-mo thing, but I actually wanted to take you through some of the choices and things that I've been making in this phase and the differences that I have compared to my previous one. So 4 days a week was my previous program. This is now 5 days a week. I was doing an upper-lower split. Now I'm doing more body part specific. So we've got things like chest and back. And in this session, we have a quad dominant lower body session. If you've never used a pendulum squat, it is a tasty piece of kit. I don't have to warm up as much on this. I don't have to move barbells around, so it's a really nice exercise. It feels really good, great on the quads, and it's just a nice varied exercise compared to me just squatting all the time, because barbell squatting just all the time is tough and it's not as fun. So I've included that in this program. I'll do about 4 sets of 10 repetitions, starting with 2 heavy and then 2 slightly lighter. As with this being a more quad dominant workout, I do 3 quad exercises. So first one is the pendulum squat, then we move on to leg extensions. I do prefer to do the Bulgarian split squats before these, but because I'd have to walk up and down the stairs, I'm just a bit lazy. I do these as my second exercise. And again, I'm aiming for that rep range of about 12 to 15. Today I did 3 sets rather than 2, and that meant that I'm just adding a little bit more volume. You don't necessarily have to add weight to add volume. You can add an extra set or some more repetitions, and that's kind of what I did here. The weight was quite heavy. I do a little rest pause, and I managed to complete the overall sort of 15 or 12 reps, I think, on that set that I filmed. From there, because the MuscleWorks Orpington has such a good plethora of gym equipment, the hamstring curl is certainly one of those and very much noteworthy. It's a great Cybex machine that I really feel well on my hamstrings, and I haven't had much ability to train my hamstrings during this phase or previous phases just because I haven't been training much at the gym. Yes, that's a girl completely avoiding the good old massive camera that I have now. But either way, it's a really nice exercise. Again, I aim for about 4 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions. And again, this was a weight that I'd used previously for 3 sets, but now I try to stick to the 4 sets of 10. Then we moved on to a calf exercise. So this was just a simple calf raise. They have about 4 or 5 different calf raise machines in this gym. So effectively, I just try and dip the heels. Again, that's sort of 4 sets of about 10 to 15 repetitions. And I've tried to put these in the middle of my workouts now because I used to put them at the end, and that was always the thing that I'd skip because it's just really boring. Like training calves is nowhere near as fun as training a squat or a deadlift or a bench press or whatever else. So it just used to be something that I'd always neglect. So the fact they have so many machines, I put it in the middle of my workout, I get it done. That'll do, right? I need to train calves. I don't have the biggest calves, so I include them. And then we come on to the holy grail of an exercise. I suppose this is just as much of a social proof to other clients that I do them. I don't just program them. And it's included in the workout overall. And I do roughly 3 sets of 10 repetitions. And here you'll see I'm using 32 kilo dumbbells. And it's tasty. It's not a nice exercise. And I think this is the second set overall. But key differences, make sure there's depth, make sure the legs are at roughly 90-90 angle, and just try and survive. Protein, and how much protein you actually require. I'd probably suggest that it's a bit less than some people have, but maybe a little bit more than the lower end recommendation. Now, protein is important for us to help us build muscle and repair and basically just get more hench during this Gaintenance phase. But sometimes we are eating too much, which is compromising other macronutrients. Like if we have a set amount of calories to maintain, so I have 2,700, if I'm consuming 250 grams of protein, let's say, which is a very high amount, we're then consuming 1,000 calories from something that's not really going to benefit us any more than having a bit less. However, if we were to have more carbohydrates in their diet, that might help aid performance. If we have more fat, it might help us with palatability of food. It might taste a little bit better. So my recommendation is that if you're saying the extreme cutting phase or fat loss phase that we went through previously, we are going for like 2.4, maybe up to 3 grams per kilogram, certainly for competitive or bodybuilding athletes towards the end of a prep. In this stage, you're looking at that roughly 2 grams per kilo as a total amount. Or if you're considering hitting certain amounts of, say, leucine, which helps us build or initiate muscle protein synthesis, so building muscle, then you're kind of looking at about 30 to 40 grams of a good quality protein, like a lean meat or a dairy source. So that might, over sort of 4 or 5 meals, be in and around the region of about 180-ish to about 200 grams.
And that would take you anywhere between 2 and about 2.2 grams per kilogram. And that also leaves enough for things like fat and carbohydrates to fuel training and taste nice. While I jump on to my evening meal and finish off the debate between Mike Israetel and Lyle McDonald, if you don't know who they are, they're a couple of cool dudes who talk about training volume. So if you haven't seen it, it'll be in YouTube somewhere. But either way, the next aspect of things that we want to talk about on 5 gaintenance or muscle building or bulking problems comes down to fiber. A number of you watch this will understand that you should eat vegetables. You know, I don't think that's something that's not commonly held by most people. Fundamentally, you want to make sure that you're consuming enough vegetables and enough fiber, but you also don't want to be consuming too much. So with the higher amounts of calories and eating healthily, we need to make sure that you're not consuming too much fiber. And too much is around 60 grams or more. That'll slow gastric emptying, or certainly the movement of like the poo bit within your intestine along the intestine, which could compromise things like absorption of vitamins and minerals and whatnot. Can also make you feel very bloated. So sure, consume plenty of vegetables, but just be aware of how much fiber you're consuming. Let's finish off with our last and final tip for this Gaintenance, lean gaining, bulking, mistakes vlog. Time. You know, giving yourself sufficient amount of time to be able to grow, to be able to make sure that you're gaining muscle tissue. You know, when I talked about previously, you talk about my training age being of an advanced level, the amount of muscle mass I'm going to grow per year is maybe going to be 1 to 2 kilograms. And if we break down that over the course of 12 months, that's not very much. You know, that's like 100 grams a month. And I'd suggest that you give yourself at least 6 months on your program, varying between bodybuilding and strength phases, so spending longer in bodybuilding phases and then shifting into some strength phases, but giving yourself that time to be able to ensure that you are gaining muscle mass. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you on Thursday around 6 o'clock for another episode of the Gaintenance. I keep getting this name wrong. It's called the Gaintenance phase, Gordon. Gaintenance phase on Thursday, another vlog. We'll see you then, and have a great week.